is, I don't even know what
Yeah,
happened to it.
nobody's talking about China. I had a very good tutorial on that. They own everything. They own everything we get our food in. Every container, every ship, buses, even though we have some of that done here.
Sit down here. Sit down over
I
here.
don't want to sit down.
Sit down. Who wants to hear Mrs. L? Who wants to hear? She does it here. Let me turn this on. Come on, Missy. You can't do this anymore. Tell me right now. Tell me what you did. Don't say specifically. Tell me what you heard last night.
I had a very interesting tutorial.
Can you hear her? Okay, keep talking.
On China. I'm always asking, why doesn't anybody talk about China? And this was with last night an elite group of global forecasters and economists. And basically, China owns everything. Every box, every shipping container, every truck, any way we are getting goods, they basically own the market across the world. Now, we do that, we build trucks and things here, but across the world, they are the ones that own everything. So I found that very interesting, and nobody's talking about this and the impact on whatever. Trump is trying to get manufacturing going, and it's very disheartening to hear all
Do
of
these
that.
people like Trump? Your folks? Do they tend to like Trump more
Well,
than?
They like the economy. It wasn't political in any
Right.
way. They said the economy is doing very well, historically well, and so really politics were not involved. It was strictly about the financial and the economies and the global impact. And there was a question about interest rates being a little high, but they said it's basically a correction. That doesn't matter. Don't get worried about the interest rates. Still, everything is historically wonderful. This is what they said.
Tell this. Look at this. They're saying China. Mrs. Ella's on target. You got my attention. Tiananmen. Let China have tantrum and spectrum. What about? Tell us a story about the with the Vespas and the Harley Davidsons. And I think this is This is so interesting about different trends. This was like the last.
Well, this was my last
Yeah.
elite group of forecasters and global economists.
Whoa.
Just that, well, these are closed door, and they had a lot of security there, which I was amazed. More security than a couple of months ago. Well, basically, they're having a hard time financially because
Who are they?
Vespa,
Oh.
Harley Davidson. Vespa, not so much. European, and of course, those sell there. But Harley Davidson, for instance, nobody's buying them. The average rider is 47.5 years old. The younger people are not buying them, not interested in them at all. And how do they, a once thriving company, maintain, a position in the United States? It's very hard for them. So, is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
right. I thought that was interesting. That's one of the last bastions.
And also last night, something else interesting was, I don't want to name companies that were there. Very small group, maybe 50. But there's a return to New York heating up again. For instance, we see all these empty storefronts. I keep asking you every day with all the cranes and building, who's going into these apartments? Just as far as you can see out our windows going down the Hudson, cranes, buildings, it looks like a foreign world here. They said in the last year, the young people, so they don't want to drive, they don't want to own homes. It is now 20 years later correcting itself, all of that. They want to live in New York. They're going to be coming back here, as well as the foreign influx will only, that's maintaining the balance right now, it'll only increase. But so they said, we were talking about Amazon and the new headquarters, which is basically across the river on the east side, just a couple of miles from here, and everything that comes with that. These companies, these prestigious companies, said they offer positions, for instance, even in Boston. And they won't do it. They will not go, these young people. There are jobs. They will not go to other places. They want to be in New York or Washington. And New York is also going to be the top tech hub outside of the Silicon Valley with all of this going on. So it's just interesting, to hear these people who are expert really give you the facts and the data and not just some hearsay that we're all reading every day or hearing on these news channels. Very interesting.
We're joined by Mrs. L right now. What are some of the
that?
things you're interested in that you want everybody to know about in any particular sector? Entertainment, news, whatever. What's got your attention?
My attention right now is I am working very hard on an initiative because my background is entertainment, and that's where a lot of relationships have been made. I'm building upon that and utilizing that and creating a curriculum. I'm in the process now, as you know, of true gender equality in the workforce. A lot of work ahead, where women will truly be paid and on a par with men. Because even though there are laws, they are not being put into effect in companies. And what companies are doing right now is it's called checking off boxes.
I love this.
So, for instance, and I won't name the company, but a senior executive at the top, everybody who has told me about this has been it's been a man at the top, says to a woman, maybe a vice president beneath him, okay, we need to do this to look good. Now, these are top 200 companies in the U.S. and abroad. So let's just throw an all-day women's conference and it's called checking off the boxes. And we've checked it off and we can say, here, we did that. That was required of us. We, my team, are truly creating a curriculum of going in and actually we want to activate change. And actually, if you're going to do that and put all that effort and money, do it correctly and really make a difference. And it is not being done. So that's all I can really say because that's all I can really say.
That's excellent. Mm-hmm. What about entertainment, though? Alec Baldwin, give us some good stuff about what's changing.
I mean, I know loads of gossip, but I usually don't.
No, not
I'm
the
not,
gossip.
I'm saying I don't really. I hold a lot of that, or people call me up and tell me things, or email me stuff. There's really nothing. It's the usual that everybody's consolidating. Nobody will be paying these salaries. You've talked about it. So they're finding ways to get rid of people, and everything is basically going to be done for online and streaming. That's the way it is. This television stuff, radio, doesn't really matter. That's just little icing on the cake. It's all about digital and that type of thing. But even the digital deals, there's so much competition. Just loads of stuff will be developed and they'll just throw it out there. They'll see what sticks. And if it doesn't stick after, say, a show, 2 episodes, cancel, ready to move on. So just a whole new business model. I understand it. But those days of the Alec Baldwins and all this, it's just nonsense. It's just waste of time.
They spend a lot of money with him, Megyn Kelly, a lot of people, and they don't recoup it.
Now, I don't blame the Megyn Kellys and the Alec Baldwins for taking these 20 million plus salaries.
Oh, I don't.
Good for them. That's what I say. But
Right.
I don't understand the dynamics of the executives on the top of these companies who, as you know, I'm thinking, none of them are that qualified. I mean, they don't know the market trends. How do you know which is what I'm working on now as part of this initiative with the gender equality, the women. How do you know what an audience wants unless you do a lot of going to the audience to ask them directly and get them involved?
Focus groups?
You could call it focus groups, but you need your data in order to develop what they want and be successful at it. You can't just throw things at people.
So why are they doing this?
Because they're all stupid. They don't know how to do it. They're not visionaries. Very few people are true. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh.
True visionaries. We've been in meetings. We've been in pitch meetings in the past where they stare at us or they say, great idea, too smart. Too smart? Well, there are smart people out there or inquisitive people out there that are underserved, and we want to provide to them. So I think key to all of this, and it's happening slowly, is getting rid of all these top executives and cleaning house. But then you get stuck with people afraid for their jobs and they want to make the money and they live over their means, a lot of them. So they're afraid to rock the boat because they don't want to rock their paycheck.
Why
kind of thing.
is
So
what we're
it's a
doing
vicious
right-
circle?
Why is what we're doing right now, immersive platforming, why is this the future? And why is this so critical and so cutting edge?
I wouldn't call it cutting edge anymore. This is what it is. It's no longer cutting
Thank
edge. No, I mean taking it straight to the people so people can participate, people can ask questions, people can feel like they're part of something instead of being dictated to. And that's what it's about. Everybody wants to participate and be a part of something and feel a sense of community. We've lost that with the cell phones and all that nonsense. We've lost it. You see when we get in the elevator, nobody makes eye contact, nobody says hello, very rarely. You always talk to people. It's a very strange, kind of solitary thing. People are craving experiences. Be part of something. It's community.
Just a second. Let me get move this for a second. I gotta check my mouse. Do you find that a lot of people are crypto Trump fans that you're coming across?
I hear it every day. I can
What do you
relate.
hear?
I can relate one story of an associate of mine whose teenage child, I'm told, is the biggest Trump fan, and I asked why. Oh, just likes that he's shaking things up, likes he talks directly to the people, likes he doesn't put on airs, likes he punches back. And this person said to the child, well, he goes to private school, but on weekends he wears his MAGA hat. And she said, you really might want to think about that going out in public. He said, I don't care. I stand with the president and I'm proud. And I've heard this story over and over again, as you have, of people who wear the hats, the shirts. People bend over, whisper, you go, good for you, keep it up, we're with you, we're with him. And I keep asking you, why are people whispering? Why are people afraid? Why? And I find it curious, on a side note, I posted a story about Melania Trump yesterday about firing this security person. And she was looking to have her fired. And people were fighting all night up until now about this story. And basically, you know who's on my Facebook? Basically all entertainment people. They've gone crazy over this story. And the other story they're all fighting about right now is this Avenatti. They're all defending him. Where a person we both know wrote, but what about Kavanaugh? You prosecuted him
Right.
from the get-go. And so that's
The
what's
double
going
standard.
that's what's going on. But I think people have to I think people crave, we're so divided about all this stuff. People are truly craving sense of community, sense of getting back to family, sense of sitting down. I know it sounds a little corny, like family meal, and time like that, because this is just all nonsense.
Tell them about your theory about how retail is going to go from the mall and the specialty store to communities.
No, I've talked about that.
Well, tell
It's
them.
always going to be Amazon. That's going to be the world leader. As a matter of fact, we talked about that last night. It's yet to be seen. It's going to be e-commerce. The big new market in e-commerce is going to be e-food, food deliveries, grocery deliveries. People will not, I mean, it has been starting already, and also e-pharma. So you never have to leave your house. I think you mentioned that yesterday or the day before. We're also seeing that in companies that, a la the Google, some other ones I've been to or been told about, they're keeping you as a prisoner. So you have, one is putting in a salon, I was told yesterday. You've got your in-house
Banking.
bank. You've got your, which is almost obsolete because everybody's doing it on the phone, on the computer. You've got your markets. This is all in-house, so that you're
And why is
there
that?
and you live there, just to keep you in a contained, controlled environment. And at the same time, the younger people going into the work market are demanding more and more of this, in order to be competitive, companies are offering, it's like a vicious circle, more and more of this. And one of the gentlemen last night, very big shipping company worldwide, said the number one question they are getting now out of young people, I want to bring my dog or cat to work. And he wasn't joking. I want to bring my dog or cat to work. And companies are starting to allow you to bring your dog or cat to work. So I don't know. I don't know when all this went wacky.
But are they getting more productivity, or is this becoming, or are they just, because I believe it's to keep people imprisoned.
But that's what I'm saying, because no, if you look at the data, I'm driven by data, as you know, these days, to have hard facts. Less is getting done because of the distractions. So I can't figure out, again, it's this vicious circle. In order to attract the people, you have to offer more and more to get the best and brightest, they were explaining. But with that comes the dogs, the cats, the
How are they, without going into detail, we came across somebody that we know where the snowflake penetration is a problem. Somebody who goes through, gets on paper, great education, goes out into the real world, cannot handle
that's what I'm talking
the
about.
rigors of corporate life, and basically, by virtue of this snowflake, impuissant, spineless.
But that's what I'm talking about. These companies want the best and the brightest, and they come with such demands that the companies fulfill those demands, thus creating this vicious circle of.
Do you remember years ago, might have been almost 10 years ago. A friend of mine, I met him for lunch. He's an HR person. This is when HR was called personnel. And he went to something and he said the biggest thing they're being asked right now is how to deal with parents. Parents are coming to work to negotiate for their kids. And the first thing a kid will say is, what's my time off? Where can I do yoga? How do I don't want to, but dealing
They're
with
not even.
parents.
They're not what they talked about last night. I'm referring to that because it's the freshest thing in my mind. It's current information. Not even that anymore. They're coming in with the demands, not asking how can I leave early to go to yoga. I will be leaving early to go to yoga. Oh, I can't come in on Friday. I want a 3-day weekend. They don't ask. They're coming in with the demands. So that's the difference. They're not having the parents even speak up as much anymore. They're just coming in expecting this. And they want it, and if they don't like it, they walk.
Do you think one day there's going to be a change in brick and mortar universities? People saying, I don't need to do that.
Why, as we know, somebody currently paying like $100,000, why would you want to do that? Why? I don't know what to say. Why? Now, I've been told because it's a sense of the college life on the campus. But I think it's on the computer now. It's on the phone. That's their sense of, and many people's, their Instagram, their Snapchat, their YouTube. They don't need to go to a brick and mortar. I think those days, in 20 years, I think it'll be.
You will not have a roommate. You will not.
But everybody I know complains about their roommates, and everybody has to switch dorms, and everybody is getting in fights. And so many of these students now want their own rooms. They don't even want roommates. So why don't you just not deal with any of that?
Tell folks how bad the streets of New York look like now, and how.
Well, that's depressing. I can't.
Come
As a matter of
on. fact,
fact, walking back last night, it wasn't that late, but it was dark because it gets dark here now at 4:30. All of a sudden, and I'm very aware walking by myself at night, and I hear a voice say, well, have a good night. And it actually made me feel very bad. I thought about it all night. It was a young guy, maybe 20, 21. Now, you know how cold it was last night. Mm-hmm. It was about 31 degrees, 32. all bundled inside a sleeping bag where there was scaffolding down the street. He was kind of hidden on the side, and I thought that's somebody's child. He's a young kid. He's sleeping on the street tonight, and he was kind of hidden. But how sad is that? And so that made me very upset. I'm seeing a lot of young people. A girl about, I will say, teenager, I don't think she was 18 yesterday, walked up to me by Grand Central. And I actually thought she was nicely dressed. I thought a lot of people always ask me for directions. I guess I look like the type you can ask me directions. And so I kind of hesitated for a second when she said, "Excuse me, miss." So I hesitated. And then she said, "I'm hungry. I need money." Now I just kept walking. But I'm seeing more and more young people. So what I'm seeing are these very mentally ill, disturbed people talking to themselves, disheveled. It's 32 degrees. They have barely any clothes on. They're barefoot. That's a new thing I'm seeing a lot. Bare feet. We used to see plastic grocery bags tied to feet or shoes with holes. Now I'm seeing actual bare feet on the streets of New York. People sitting, picking at their skin. All kinds of wild, crazy stuff. I'm seeing all of that. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing all these young people that don't look like they belong on the streets. It's a very, I didn't
Now-
discuss that with you lately, but it's a disturbing trend I'm
Here's
seeing.
another one which is going to be very difficult. I hope you can hear me. Here's one that is very difficult to explain. And I suggest to you, but we're adults here, we can talk about it. When a country loses its culture, it's lost its soul. There was a time when we remember where you would see, and you can go to various parts for Queens if you want any kind of food, whether it's Bangladeshi to Himalayan to, it doesn't matter. Italy, little Greece, little story for the Greece. So we love heterogeneity. In the old days, you would see maybe a headscarf, hijab, and not that there's anything about headscarf, but just because they're the most, and I'm also seeing now more, have you noticed how Asians wear the masks, the surgical masks? I'm seeing more surgical masks than I've ever seen in my life. But all Asians.
Well, you'll be seeing a lot of those in California
Oh,
because
yeah.
the air quality
Right. That's a
is
different story. Right, you're right,
devastating.
you're right. But I have never seen as many headscarves. I've never seen more people. When does it get to the point, do we ever risk the chance of one day seeing communities entirely or virtually entirely of people from foreign religions, cultures, languages, and the like, not supplementing, but replacing the American way of life?
I understand. I haven't seen it firsthand, but my sources in Minnesota. And how about this Ilan Omar, where I usually just put her picture and say dig deeper, who was, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All you have to do is go back and look at her Twitter feed or Google her name to see what she has said about Jewish people. It was very blatant. I mean, it's very, very
Look at
disturbing.
Linda Sarsour.
She's friends with her. She's
Right.
posting. I'm trying to be nice about things.
Be diplomatic.
Diplomatic. That's the right word. Diplomatic. It is horrifying, and we've got that on the internet right there for everybody to see. Yet when I post something maybe once a week, I get a message from Twitter. My content isn't friendly, and that is usually a repeat of somebody else's story that's out there. I didn't even create it. I am just putting it out there. So I'm not understanding. Well, you know.
By the way, a couple of comments here. Marvin Boggs says, just wondering, how do you think Q feels right now? Like Kellyanne Conway? Like the Anons? Like us?
Q.
Like you? Like the Patriots of Valley Forge? I don't know. Maggie B says, morning, L. DJT ran a marathon campaign and then went to Europe. Let's give him a chance to recharge. He's a fighter, won't give up. Neither should we. Oh, we're not giving up.
Give up. We never give up.
No, but I'm saying, but Reed, because I'm very concerned, he might say, you know what, screw this.
I agree with
We
that.
talked about it.
We talked about it. I agree.
He might say,
You know what I did hear last night? I don't mean to interrupt. Michael Bloomberg And it was a very involved conversation of why might really pull it off and become president.
Dear heavens.
Dear heavens is right.
Espen Olson says, Miss Love, hearts.
Oh,
Billy Alethea Scout says, I love you, Mrs. L, and you
Aw.
too, Lionel. Isn't that great?
I love all these people.
Michael
They're so
UK
nice.
says, Mrs. L,
Yes.
please, you need your own mic. This is great. This is Michael from the UK. Narfel the Gothrog says, these execs he's talking about is the Peter Principle. Yes, this is from the, not the ones you saw last night, but the media execs. Child of Yah says, that's true. People are craving human interaction. I don't know if they are craving it as much as...
The young people don't know because they haven't grown up with
Right.
it. I'm not kidding. They don't know because they've grown up. Now I'm going to say maybe up
in
to
captivity.
I'm saying like 30 and below is what I'll say. They've grown up more where the parents worked, so they were kind of on their own, or they had, sitters, or the after-school clubs, and everybody's busy. Another interesting, last night were global economists and forecasters. That's the take last night. These were not media executives. One was from a very well-known food company. And 54% of households, and this was a stat for the United States. I'm digressing a little bit here, but this is interesting. Never prepare homemade meals. 54%. And the others, take out, could be McDonald's, or it could be a restaurant eating out. That's kind of a large percentage.
Well-
50, a little over half basically. They never ever have family meals together, and they never prepare any food. What was your question?
This is, Jennifer Small says, more deliveries mean more for fun. Yes, question mark. Could be. Tomo Torres says, life hack, go to local university, live in own house. Jennifer Small says, immigration without assimilation is the end of culture. Anna Hawkins, thank you. Marvin Boggs says, Burns and Allen, sign her.
I think I'm signed already.
Christo Stavros says, great stuff, Mrs. L. Love yous.
Love yous back.
Linda Dombeck says, seems like a complete unknown with no direction home is going to be in charge soon. This is like a Rolling Stone. Narfel the Gothrog says, execs rise to level of inefficiency. I'm not sure what that one means.
But I do have a comment about.
Yes.
So last night was was this global mix, which you get. Remember, forecasters, economists, you get much better information. When I talk about media things, those are people here in the United States, and that's like a very flat, dull. This global stuff is interesting. Am I making sense
Yes.
about that? And that again, it's true numbers and facts and reports and stats. The other interesting thing, it never occurred to me, I know all of our Amazon boxes are shipped out and brought to China to be disposed of. Now, what does that mean? Money chain. Did you ever think about that? Amazon, all the Amazon boxes. And again, they've done reports. You get something from Amazon in those huge boxes, small item. They're trying to put them, do you know what I'm talking about? They're trying to put them in more smaller little packs or not use those big boxes. But think about that. All the boxes, looking at our building, if you catch a delivery, the whole front of the building is filled with what? Amazon boxes. Shipped back to China, the empty boxes to be disposed of.
Or to be recycled, or to be...
They say recycle on the box, but I'm saying China's getting all the business, whether it's the shipping, the port, the recycling. Why isn't that staying here and we're making the money from it?
Why aren't we adopting American kids? We always talk about that.
I don't know.
But something about, remember when Chinese kids, everybody adopted Chinese kids? It's like the newest.
Well, now the newest thing is everybody is adopting African American kids. To me, that's what I'm seeing. That's the trend I'm seeing. It was Chinese for a very long time. It was Russian for a little bit, but I'm
Yes.
going back because they put a stop to that. And no, now I'm seeing African American children being adopted more than Chinese children being adopted.
Tell folks how abandoned what it looks like on Madison Avenue compared to now.
Empty
How
storefronts. Just empty, empty. You'll have, let's see, you'll have Valentino. Never anybody in it on Madison Avenue. Designer dresses, beautiful, whatever. Nobody there. Guard at the front door. All the storefronts around for rent, for sale, for lease. It's the most depressing thing.
They're also doing monthly storefronts, pop-ups.
Oh, yeah, doing a lot of pop-ups around town. So
Now, also, what's good? You said one time, malls are dead, but little neighborhood main street
goes back to my people want community.
That's what I
and they're
was saying.
craving attention. We're going to go back to that small town shopping. Maybe a few more years before that happens. People want the personal touch. They want a personal gift wrap. They're going to want that. You can't get everything delivered in a box. How boring is that after a while? It's great. That'll always happen. Amazon's just going to run the world, be in charge.
On a different note,
But-
look how everything now is vegan, plant-based, how everywhere we go. 5 years ago, you never even saw that. Now, it's as...
I'm glad you weren't with me last night because one of the executives from an international food company, speaking Italian, by the way, every 10th word was English. So one of his big products is a very well-known olive oil. And he was speaking about that. And he basically said, and I will not say the name or the company, it's fat. He said, no matter how you want to do it, I'm going to tell you right now, it's fat. But for marketing reasons,
Yes.
we promoted it as a medical, everything you've always said.
Whoa.
And this is the man at the, I was shocked that he, but again, it was a closed group. There's no press. I'm using generalities now, but people don't discuss these things except within the community. And he said, it's fat. We market it as medical. He said, now, I took it to Japan. They want no part of it over there because it was everything you've ever said.
Yes.
That people here go crazy, lose their minds. They're going to come kill you because you post this stuff. They're whatever. He said, they say, what do we need that for? We're already, healthy when they try to market it as healthy. They can't market it that way there because they basically have no market there. They're like, we are healthy. Our food is healthy. We don't need it. And then he's like, oh, you can throw a little in the wok. Or why would we do that? Because it's also, he was explaining, I never thought about a very foreign taste if you actually taste it. So why, if you're happy with your food,
You
your
like
culture,
peanut oil because it's a high flash point, and also because it's neutral. And listen to this one. Our friend, the...
Which one? I don't have any friends. Which friend?
The restaurant person.
Oh, yeah.
When you have a restaurant and you say, I'm going to go high-end, like places like the place in Philly, these high-end vegan places. If you say, I have a steak, if I serve Kobe beef and Wagyu and all that, I can, Berkshire or pork and all this, I can really load up salmon. I can pay high ticket. When you've got an eggplant, it's all in the preparation. And a lot of it, too, is it takes more time to prepare a vegetable than it does for what people want than it does to grill a steak. And it's less money. So they're saying, how do we do this? People want more vegetarian, but it's lower cost. They don't charge. And when we went to that place fairly recently, you pay a lot. 3 of us had lunch.
These vegan restaurants that are true hipster vegan,
Expensive as hell.
it's like those prices will eventually come down because the people won't. They're paying it now because it's sort of still a novelty, that kind of place we were in, and there still aren't too many of those, even though they're growing now. But they can't. People won't pay those prices. And as soon as somebody comes in with a chain, do you know what I'm saying? That's good. That'll just deflate the market. Because we had the conversation with the olive oil man. It was very interesting. He explained it's pretty much it's not expensive olive oil. They also have the number one I don't want to give away too much, but like a pasta.
Right.
Very cheap to make that pasta, and the competition in the market. So we talked about, the trends around the globe and how to maintain and sustain.
Food trends are, remember a while back, there was a ramen noodle you got in a little package, you put some water on it, and now
39 cents at Dwayne.
right now the places around us, they're standing online for hours to get in.
I don't get it.
Remember when soba noodles? You never heard of soba. Then all of a sudden there was more of
But you know what was interesting last night? This man said somebody was from a luxury company, so those are goods. But he pointed out food, people always have to eat. So that's a constant. So you have to adapt and grow that market. And with all the competition, you don't need a car or you don't need a cashmere sweater, basically. People do need to eat. So I found that and his business and what's going on with that very interesting.
Enoch Koch says, Lionel, thanks for giving Mrs. Ella Mike. Thanks for all you do around here on YouTube. Your show is wonderful and refreshing. Showing my appreciation. Thank you, Enoch Koch. Very generous.
Aw.
Maggie B says, have you ever
Thank
been
you.
to Queens, 70 to 74th and 37th Avenue?
Yes.
We experienced the total replacement of what used to be a diversity of population in small business. Amazing.
Isn't that near we went to
The Thai place?
the Thai restaurant? No, that
Right
was
around. That was Main Street.
no, that was Broadway.
Yeah,
Is
right,
that is
right,
that what we're talking about? It was around Broadway and Astoria, wasn't it?
J. Russell Solomon says, when is EP2? Are they meet and greet ticks 119? Oh,
Meet and greet. You mean the show?
yeah.
What do you mean meet and greet ticks? If you come to the show, we'll stay
January
until
19th.
January 19th. But
I mean-
there's no special
They
ticket.
didn't know. I shook everybody's hand
No,
who waited
yes.
in line. If you want to meet,
I mean, there's no
Pictures.
If you come to the show, you meet
Absolutely.
Lionel. There's no extra special.
these people
anything.
who go, and I could tell, the cutting room, they said, what the hell's going on here? Because they had the Ukrainian
Yeah, but
jug
now
band or
I'm organized for the next
Oh,
time. I
we're
got a
ready to
whole
go.
thing, but I think this might be referring to like a Taylor Swift. They make a lot of money where they say, "Oh, you can have a meet and greet and a picture for $50."
No.
We don't do stuff like that.
no,
Listen,
no.
this is a small,
No.
intimate club, and it's really we sold a lot of tickets. A lot of people are coming. We've got
I'm not shy.
and we've got a couple of months ready, but people gotta get with it. I'm not kidding when I say this.
J9 says, the good news, spiritually speaking, everything old will become new again. We will be returning to family, tribes,
Yes.
and heartfelt connections. Yay.
Yep,
Absolutely.
that's what I've been saying.
Six in Line says, if you missed it, paste a millennial job interview into YouTube. If it doesn't make you cry, you'll chuckle. Relates to what Mrs. L was saying. Thank you. Alan Fountain, thank you. Michael UK says, Lionel looks like a man that stared that loves her. Oh,
Oh.
I do.
Of course we do. But here, I brought up a question last night, but everybody stared at me. Can I tell you what that question was?
Thank you, Marvin Boggs says, Alan and Burns calling, and Alan Fountain. Yeah, what is it?
So if these international global companies want the brightest and the best and all this, let me try to make sense of what I'm
Yeah.
about to say. Can somebody just, and the competition, and we all know that the bottom line is making money and the dollar. That wins everything except in the case of Roseanne, I would say.
Right.
That's making money, the dollar. Why doesn't somebody start a trend of saying to these young people, no, we don't offer that?
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't,
Versus giving in.
just giving in automatically. And my other thought, where everybody stared at me, everybody talks about we want the best and the brightest. Well, there's also something to be said. Who's to say who's the best? Because I'm finding a lot of these, what are called best,
Oh, yeah.
are horrible people.
How about training?
So how about getting in people who may not be considered on paper the brightest? They're right below. They just want to work hard. They want a paycheck. They want to learn something. Why not bring them in and train them and develop them into what you want for the company? What's wrong with that? Everybody just stared at me.
We know a couple of cases where one will say, I can't handle college because I can't focus and I can't concentrate, and somebody has to take my notes for me, and I can't handle this, and I need my medication. And another one goes through very prestigious education, cannot work in the corporate environment because can't deal with people.
She worked one day and came home crying.
This is the part that maybe we'll get to later. Anyway, come here, you.
Well, I got to get to work.
Come on, give me some sugar. Come on. Oh, is she fantastic or what? God,
You got the best people.
I got the best wife. Happy wife, happy life. All right, my friends, to Alan Fountain, Marvin Boggs. Hang on a minute, let me turn this back. Isn't she great? Luckiest man in the world. Alan Fountain, Marvin Boggs, Michael in the UK. I think I said Alan Fountain. Six in line. J9. J. Russell Solomon. Maggie B. Enoch Koch. Thank you. Narfel the Goth Rock. Linda Dombeck. Christos Stavru. Marvin Boggs. Oh, look at this one, honey. Alan Fountain says, I love Mrs. L. Lina, I look forward to your discern what will be acceptable in the world. To know, yes, she'll be there because it's her birthday. To know the proper discernment of the adapted new truth. Thank you, Alan. Jennifer Small, of course. Anna Hawkins, thank you. Carlos Danger Wiener says, Triple L shoot style, the lovely Lady L. Oh, I love that. It's a shoot, all right. Tomo Tor, thank you. Hang on a minute. Let me figure this thing out. Hang on a minute. Yes, Carlos Danger Wiener, Alan Fountain, Marvin Boggs, Michael in the UK, Six in line, J9, yes. J. Russell Solomon, I think we said that. Yes. Yes, very good. Wasn't she wonderful? And you were
They're wonderful.
Oh.
But they take time and they're supportive. And
So serious and how.
follow me on Twitter. I do.
Don't forget, let me give you her. She gets very upset when she gets to a certain number, and then all of a sudden,
It's called shadow banning, honey.
no, but she gets to a certain number and then she loses the number overnight. That's it. Please follow her. She loves it. Michael UK, Mrs. L, 19th birthday, yes. Oh, we're going to have, trying to get a few surprise guests. You never know. All right, my friends, we always end with, by the way, an hour and 53 minutes today. We got to do this again, whether you like it or not. An hour and 53 minutes. We also need to have, Elfin Magic already follows her. 60 in Tenerife, your age and where you are, 59 in Madagascar. That was a great show. Fantastic. God bless you. All right, my dear friends, we thank you so much. This was one of the most fun shows. An hour and 54 minutes. Had a late start, but imagine how long this would be a 3-hour show in regular TV time with all the commercials and that sort of thing. But it's a part of my day and your day, and I love it, and I thank you. All right, until later on behalf of Mrs. Ellamy, we thank you for everything that you do. Comment as you see fit. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. And whatever you do today, comment as you see fit. Have a wonderful day. And I'm now going to untether the stream in 3, 2, and 1. Thank you again.